Hey guys, Kiwi here. In this video, I'll be breaking down the Season 3 premiere of Better Call Saul. This episode has been heavily anticipated and I honestly think that it does not disappoint. That being said, warning of spoilers and let's jump right into it. So the episode starts out with more of Jimmy in the future, showing him continuing his job at Cinnabon. The flash forward shows a time lapse of him working his shift up until his lunch break, so he takes his break, goes up the escalator, and starts having his lunch. Some teenager walks up to him and drops something that he's obviously stealing, and as cops approach, he hides in a photo booth right in front of Jimmy, or whatever Saul goes by in this timeline, but anyways, he ends up giving up the thief, but it almost kills him to point his finger at the photo booth, and so as they arrest the thief and take him away, they tell Jimmy good job, but it makes him stand up and yell at them, saying that the thief should say nothing and get a lawyer, Jimmy just being completely unable to control his emotions whatsoever. So after that surprising outburst, Jimmy goes back to his shift at Cinnabon just to pass out at the end of the scene due to the effects of that adrenaline rush catching up with him. This entire scene speaks volumes about what Jimmy's life has led him to, especially when you break down the reactions that he gives in these flash forwards. The thing about Better Call Saul is we already know where Jimmy's gonna end up, being Saul Goodman in Breaking Bad, but this flash forward shows us a little bit of Saul's life after Breaking Bad, so we have that to look forward to, and I really hope that they end up doing this justice, as we only see a little bit of it once a freaking season. Anyways, moving on to the current timeline, I love how they start off with the same scene from the end of Season 2, just on the other side of Chuck's wall. And so, although Chuck just secretly recorded Jimmy confessing to his crimes, he still has Jimmy help him take down his crazy wallpaper. And so with that all being said, they both start hitting it off, reminiscing about their childhood. Now the story they're reminiscing about is called Mabel. Correct me if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but it's the name of the episode. So the show creator Vince Gilligan actually named the episode Mabel as a surprise for his mom, because it's actually a story that Vince Gilligan's mom used to tell him and his brother when they were kids themselves. So although Chuck and Jimmy remind each other that they're still loving brothers, Chuck brings up the fact that he'll never forget what was said there that day, and that Jimmy would still pay for his actions. So as Jimmy meets up back with Kim at their office, he briefs her on Chuck and thanks her for taking care of all their clients so he could go see him. Considering the fact that talking about Chuck with Kim involves the topic that she never wanted to talk about with him, she completely avoids it and starts burying her head in work just like she always does. That topic of course involves Jimmy confessing to Chuck over the fact that he tampered with evidence, which I've been excited to see unplay considering we got left with that huge cliffhanger showing that Chuck recorded it all at the end of Season 2. Speaking of which, the first thing Chuck does is show Howard the tape, getting him involved along with apologizing for not telling him about his plans to record Jimmy. Although Howard seems to place a roadblock in about every useful angle that the tape could lead them in, Chuck implies that he knows exactly what to do, but he keeps it a secret for now. So the next thing we see of Chuck involves Ernesto bringing him groceries and supplies, including batteries for his tape recorder. After Chuck fails to put in the batteries himself, he asks Ernesto to do it for him. So while he's placing in the new batteries, he accidentally turns on the tape, exposing Jimmy's confession to him. Now Chuck convinces Ernesto to keep his mouth shut due to customer confidentiality, but we'll have to see how far that goes. Also, did Chuck do this on purpose? There's no way that he would have had Ernesto go anywhere near the tape recorder if he actually thought it would get them in trouble, or get him in trouble, or screw him over, so I honestly assume that this is a part of Chuck's big plan as far as what he's wanting to do with Jimmy's confession tape. And speaking of Jimmy, while he's getting yelled at by that Air Force captain for tricking him into helping Jimmy record his commercial last season, Kim is getting praised for doing a good, honest job with the Misa Verde case. Might have pronounced that wrong, but in my mind, this helped highlight the parallels between doing good, honest work like Kim, as opposed to Jimmy's less legit methods at getting shit done. That being said, as Kim finishes up all of her work at their office, Jimmy waits for her to be finished, showing that he wants to be by her side through everything and that he feels bad for piling all this work on her. Well, that's about it for that half of the episode, so let's go ahead and check up on what Mike's been doing this episode as well. And just like how we jump back into Jimmy and Chuck's conversation, we also start off with Mike exactly where we left off with him in Season 2, out in the desert completely spooked after finding that note on his car that says don't. So Mike gets the hell out of Dodge, getting as far away as he can before quickly inspecting the car to try to find out if it's been bugged at all. He obviously isn't able to do a good job right then and there in the desert, so he decides to take the car to a junkyard just to make sure. As he's shown searching it top to bottom, I actually didn't think he'd find anything, although I appreciate Mike's character in being this thorough. With that in mind, Mike ends up just giving his car away at the end of the day, considering that he completely tore it apart without finding anything. But after having an epiphany about his gas cap, he runs back and opens up his own to find a bug inside it. The creators of the show thought of the gas cap as a place to hide the bug because they wanted to think of a place that they could hide a battery that would be difficult for Mike to find, but not impossible. So he goes home and searches his own gas cap in his car parked out front and finds a bug in it. He takes the bug out and writes down all the information about it on a piece of paper, and with that information, he takes it to go see a guy to buy the same bug for himself. Now, as we see Mike get off of his night shift working at that toll booth, he takes his gas cap off before driving away in his car to make sure that he's not being followed to meet this guy. So as he meets up to give his buddy the information for the bug, he ends up paying him double considering that it was an after-hours call. And so what Mike does here next is actually really clever. He takes the bug that he bought and he replaces it with the one that the people bugged him with. So when they take the bug back, he can track the people that are actually stalking him. And that's what he does. He ends up waiting an extremely long time, but he catches the people taking it back, and he gets in his car and he follows them, and that's the end of the episode. Now, I don't know if I've actually mentioned this at all, but Mike was literally my favorite character from Breaking Bad. I mean, I loved Walt and Jesse and even Gus and some of the others, but Mike was always my favorite, so whenever I see him shining in this show, even if he doesn't have that much dialogue, I'm still at the edge of my seat because I honestly love his character. So what do you guys think is going to happen? What do you think Mike is going to do when he finds the people that are stalking him? They released a few sneak peeks, so I'm probably going to do a breakdown about that in a separate video, but leave your own opinions about the entire episode and what you thought of it as a whole, or just the show in general in the comments section below. And you know, for all those Walking Dead fans, I'm still going to be doing tons of Walking Dead content. It's just that, you know, with the Season 7 finale just finished up, and Better Call Saul just starting up itself, I figured it'd be nice to cover this until we wait for Fear the Walking Dead to start as well, because Season 3 of that is right around the corner, but in the meantime, I still have tons of Walking Dead content. I have so much crap I want to talk about for all 3 shows really, so let me know what you guys want to see in the future. And with that, that's pretty much it for the video, guys. I'd appreciate a like on it if you've enjoyed anything I've said today, as it really does help me out and show that you guys really do enjoy this show just as much as I do. With that all being said, I thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I'll talk to you later. Peace out.